Nobody has joined yet. I see. Um, cool. Welcome to Rishi's Man United Warehouse. For the people who haven't joined yet, uh, yes. Hi Vakar, what's up? You're the first person to join today. Welcome to the warehouse. I think this is your first stream at the channel. Uh, we're not at a stage where we are monetized yet, so you can't really show your generosity over here yet. But the hope is to get there one day, right? So, just wanted to create this stream to discuss a couple of things that I really believe in passionately. So, as a United fan, the last 2 weeks have really been very, very, very lackluster and very media oriented and very, very negative, to be precise. And I think that there are positives to be extracted from this stream. Um, the goal of this stream is to do that, to make you guys realize that everything is not gloomy at Man United, right? So, hi, Unique. What's up, bro? Everything's cool. I only heard of how great your streams are. अब जल्दी आ गया हूँ तो just let's start with Hala Madrid. No, it's GGMU for now, bruv. So, we'll go through a couple of issues that are going around the club. First of all, talk about a few things. So, I wanted to show you guys this amazing, amazing thing right now. To be honest, if I go on to MEN's website, which is Manchester Evening News, and I look at the first four articles, two more women allege they were abused by Anthony as United deny cover up. Ten Hag biography quote hints at how he will deal with Sancho. Wow, wow, wow. United are set to welcome a brand new player into their squad. Really? I think this is about under 21 or a women's team thing, right? Acha, Lay and Menu's development. Uh, I think this is about Menu. Oops, the video. Yeah, Menu is coming back apparently. And another issue is the Amrabat story of him being injured. Scott McTominay's chats, lack of game time. Essentially, our legends are battling over the fact that if Jadon Sancho were a Man United player right now, he would never get game time. He hates. Hello, Karthik Bhai. Karthik Bhai states the fact that he hates Madrid because of Shantanu. I don't hate Madrid because of Shantanu. I just don't like to support any other team. JC, hello, bro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The two people that have joined the stream. I would really appreciate it. So, as you can see, there's a lot of negativity around the club right now. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Richard Arnold is doing very botched jobs around uh, handling player situations, especially the what can I say, especially the entire Jadon Sancho slash Anthony slash Reedwood situation. The way he handled it was an absolute joke, right? But you have to realize the fact that he is really a very inefficient person to begin with. Richard Arnold, I don't know if it was Richard Arnold or Murta who was seen in a bar last year, stating the fact that this year that we're going to have a very difficult transfer window, especially considering the amount of resources we have to spend, along with a few other factors. Um, and we've seen that, right? Manchester United did not have the best window, especially considering our league positioning last year third, which was third. We should have pushed in for uh, certain upgrades into our squad, like Harry Kane, Benjamin Pavard, who have been like truly good players. But what we've done is essentially given more streams than A for Arsenal, says Laksh Bhai. Laksh Bhai, welcome. You're the most loyal viewer of the channel despite your celebrity status. Um, I love you, truly. My godfather has arrived. Um, so yeah, more streams than A for Arsenal. I was just feeling a little bored, Daksh Bhai, to be honest. So I was reading some gloomy news around Manchester United, and I felt the inherent responsibility to make the three or four people that regularly tune into me feel good about Manchester United, even if they are not Manchester United fans. I really don't care. Right. Why are you cooking Shantanu? Why are you cooking Shantanu ko Ayan? It says Dr. Bhai. So hello, sorry for being late. Was cooking my dinner. No problem, Ayan. Just make sure you come here every time I press the go live button, and we'll be Gucci. But yeah, like I showed you guys, the front page, if you open Manchester Evening News, is probably the gloomiest side. As a Manchester United fan, one of the gloomiest sights that we have probably seen in a very, not in a very long time, but in a relatively short time. So we have to move away from all the negatives. We have to realize that there have to be positives in this situation as well. And the biggest positive, in my opinion, is that we have possibly the best manager that we can have right now, which is Eric Ten Hag, and he has to be solely and wholly trusted by the fan base, despite like um, inherent prejudice shown by the players and a lot of like bad press, especially coming from a lot of rival fans. They've stated the fact that he does not really have the right talent ID and all these things, but that's irrelevant for us, right? We don't have to believe in all that because we know that our club finished sixth 15 months ago, and Ten Hag dragged us out of that rut with Wout Weghorst and all these players. Now you might say Wout Weghorst scored only two goals, and that's fine. Marcel Sabitzer as well, but that's fine, right? Casemiro, Anthony, these players really made a mark on our squad, and we finished decently last season. Now, the major blame goes towards the Glazers and the bored, to be honest. Like I said in the beginning of this stream, for the people who did not join. So there's a very famous video of our our kingpin Richard Arnold in a bar somewhere talking to United fans and stating the fact that we're going to have very tough summer windows and winter windows because of the inherent like financial situation at Manchester United. Yeah, I mean, we've been in a rut because of this very reason. Are you, Ayan is asking, are you going to watch the game? So, do you want me to watch the game? Do you want me to like react to the game? Because 2 hours is a very long time, in my opinion. I could watch like the initial 1 hour of the game and maybe like put in my reactions. But really, Portugal versus Slovakia does not interest me very much. But if you want me to, why not? I'll do whatever my audience wants me to do. Um, sure. So yeah, I mean, there have to be a few positives in this scenario. Like I said, we have to wholly trust and make sure we wholly and solely trust Eric Ten Hag in his endeavors. If he wants to sit Sancho against Brighton, so be it. It will be decent for us only, in my opinion, because we cannot allow that toxicity from the right hand side uh, coming in and bleeding into our team, right? We require that a player that plays in the right state of mind, in my opinion. That could be Pelistri. I There are rumors that Diallo might be fit as well, so that could be Diallo as well. So there are a lot of things that might change, right? The lack of conversation makes it worse, man. What kind of conversation do you mean? Me conversing with you guys, or like Eric Ten Hag conversing with the media, right? Yeah. I think it's the latter case which Udik is referring to, and I think it makes sense. Yes, we haven't heard of Ten Hag yet. We don't know what he feels like, but there have been like really strong reports of his like distaste towards like Sancho's comments, and that's fine. I mean, he has to show a certain amount of authority. He has to show a certain amount of distaste because at the end of the day, he's the manager of the club, right? And whatever Jadon Sancho has done is completely wrong. Now there were rumors around Jadon Sancho moving to Saudi Arabia, to be honest, and that was really interesting, on in my opinion, especially because um, Manchester United are just so bad at doing deals. It's like we put in a bid and then we're like waiting for a million years to put another bid of an increment of around £1 million. Then we put in another bid of an increment of like £1 million. Um, and it's like very, very, very diabolical in my opinion. So if you look at the bid that went in for example, Sufyan Amrabat, right? So the Sufyan Amrabat bid that initially went in was like £2 million with like no guarantee to buy and all these things, right? It's a joke, right? The way we treated Fiorentina was essentially a joke, in my opinion. And it's just our board is so inefficient. Just the way they tested the waters with the Greenwood story also is a joke, right? They made they put out a statement stating the fact that they will put out a statement or they are putting out a statement. Just a diabolical mess that the every like situation that like the board dips their toe in, it's like a diabolical mess. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? At least have a good manager, right? So a few positives that I would want to discuss with the one person that is watching this stream is uh, number one, uh, Rasmus Hoyland. Now, I know for a fact that Unik, if you're there, you stated the fact that Rasmus Hoyland will not really get the direct preference, especially when you consider that he's a very new player, 20 minutes of Premier League experience. So do you put him against Brighton, which is like a hardened, battle-hardened team who know how to beat good teams, right? The dog's barking outside my window. I guess this is like accurate with every United fan. Unik says that yes, I think Martial will start again, and I think so too. Martial should start the match, but I think it will be a drastic decision as well, right? Because Martial is not really in form. Whatever he does is absolutely inefficient at the end of the day. His ball progression is really died, in my opinion. His shooting is a joke. Like the way he was in that position against Ramsdale in the second half, around 60 minutes against Arsenal, and the way his shot lacked sheer power or finesse or strength, it was really, really lame, in my opinion. Whatever like Martial did at the end of the day. So I think in order to like give the fans a little bit of hope, if it were any other like team apart from Brighton, I think there was a case. I mean, any other like small team, not like your Liverpool's or Chelsea's or Man City's, any other small team, I think Rasmus Højlund should have been given the benefit of the doubt. But for now, I think Martial um, starts ahead of Hoyland at least for like two to three more game weeks. We saw that with Casemiro as well last season. Just because Casemiro was a good player doesn't mean didn't mean that Ten Hag really put in him against like uh, in front of like Scott McTominay initially, right? Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag like really likes to install this like sense of philosophy before he puts in players at the end of the day. And let's see. I mean, I hope so. Things work out, and Hoyland works out for Manchester United. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss with the was the entire Amrabat injury. Now, Amrabat's injury. could be like a big sore thumb on our like thing, right? Will it be Mount, Cassie, Bruno with Ahmad Pelistri, or Ericsson, Cassie, Bruno with Mount? Um, do we have news, Unik, around like Mount being fit? I haven't like read a lot of news regarding Mount. Born from Flames has joined. Hi, bro. Welcome to the warehouse. Um, so Mount, Cassie, Bruno with Ahmad Pelistri. I think Pelistri should get the start. But if Mount is fit, I would rather play Mount or like Bruno Fernandes in the wings and like one person inside. Because that's just down to experience, right? Because we're playing Brighton, which is like a difficult game, right? Uh, so I saw on the FPL app that Ahmad and Mount are expected to play on 16th. So if it's Mount fit, I still think like Ericsson has done well in the last two games to like make him a deserved starter at the end of the day. So essentially, it will be Casemiro, Ericsson, and Bruno in the midfield with Pelestri in the wings. But in a best case scenario, I see um, Casemiro, Ericsson, Mount with Bruno in the wings, or Casemiro, Ericsson, Bruno with Mount in the wings if Sancho or Anthony don't play. So we can go that route as well. So let's see. Right. So I have the Ahmad. Let's just like break down this entire Sophia and Amrabat situation, because there are a lot of conflicting reports around like Amrabat, especially if you look at like a lot of like news media outlets have stated the fact that he's like injury is just precautionary, or the Moroccan board like wants to send him back because United are afraid that he has an injury and all that. But um, I honestly think that uh, Amrabat is definitely injured. Otherwise, he would not have been like pulled out of the Moroccan side, right? It's a bit weird, right? If he were not injured that severely to like pull him out, right? Uh, I don't think no football association would like have this in their head. Key, I have to like protect a player for a club or anything. I don't think football associations think like that, especially since Amrabat is like one of the better players that play for Morocco. So I don't think Amrabat is fit for another like 2 weeks or so, because he has that similar back issue that Hoyland had or has or is nursing. We don't really have clarity around that as well. So yeah, I mean, we could see a midfield of Ericsson, Casemiro, and Mount, or Ericsson, Casemiro, or Bruno with Mount or Bruno on the wings, right? That is one interesting route, and I think that would be actually good against a team like Brighton and Hove Albion, especially because Mount and Bruno both have like defensive traits that Anthony also brings to the table, and especially with those tricky wingers that like Brighton have, be it Mitoma, Solly March, all these guys, they are very, even their midfield is like very decent with Gross and all these players. Their front line is also damn nice with like Evan Ferguson. Um, so yeah, I mean, it could be logical to play a lot of midfielders. We've seen Pep Guardiola do it a lot of times at Man City, but I think the best like starting 11, provided everybody is fit, in my opinion, is with Hoyland on top, Rashford from the left, Anthony from the right, Bruno in the middle, uh, Amrabat, Casemiro Mount with Licha, Varane, Wan Bissaka, Shaw, and Onana, right? So that is the best 11 that we have right now based on current form. And I think that if there are tweaks to be made, there has to be a minimum amount of tweaks to be made, uh, especially since like we have to stick to our best players. But that is not the case, right? We have a lot of injuries, and there needs to be a lot of tweaks to be made, right? So in order like to even basically compete, right? I think he Unique has a question. I think if the management leaves the decision with Eric Ten Hag, Anthony starts. Make me mod Vishy bhai. I don't know how to make you a mod, Renesu, on the this thing on StreamYard. I could do it on YouTube. I still don't know how to use it properly, but I promise after the stream ends, you'll be a managing mod. If Ayan is a managing mod, you have to be 125%. So I think if the management leaves the decision with एरिक टेन हैग, अच्छा ठीक है भाई, 2 सेकंड, मेरे 4 ही व्यूअर्स है भाई, मैं तेरे को मॉड बनाने चक्कर में अपने सारे व्यूअर्स खो दूंगा, फिर झमेला हो जाएगा। रुको रुको, वेयर इज मी, वेयर इज मी, वेयर इज मी, वेयर एम आई कैन सी मी प्लेइंग, holy crap, I can see myself playing, I have to, अबे भाई अभी ना, एक सेकेंड, ऐड एज मॉडरेटर, मैनेजिंग मॉडरेटर, चलो हो गया, हैप्पी। See, I lost a viewer. Wow. Thank you, Renesu और Ayan. कोई नहीं जाएगा. Hmm. Right. So, I think it's all good. I think if the management leaves the decision with Eric Ten Hag, Anthony starts. I think so too, right? Just because of the fact that Ten Hag has shown his like favoritism, no matter how much we deny it towards Anthony. And number two, the fact that he's still like not suspended means that he's available for selection, and that could be tampered uh, with on like moralistic like grounds, and he might like be given like a bench warming, uh 2-3 games. But I think that yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro, this is a very tricky situation. If it were me, I would have played Mount or Bruno in the wings, or either of them like inside with Casemiro and Eriksen. So just to, I think there has to be like some sort of internal disciplinary action also, against like Anthony at least. That has to be shown, because Eric Ten Hag at the end of the day has to look more consistent than the board at least, right? He made Rashford like miss out a half because of oversleeping, and he came back and scored a goal. But this is like way more intense than oversleeping, right? So there has to be a sense of like consistency, especially with uh, every player, um, every player that Eric Ten Hag deals with at the end of the day. So Renesu says, I love you, bro. Come back on Discord. We miss you, but that's fine. So yeah, um, another positive that I would really want to talk about is, I might sound like a complete sadist, but we have just so before I come to this, Ayan has an interesting question. So why do you punish Anthony if there is no final judgment? It's all allegations, right? So um about my background, Ayan, I'm just a mechanical engineer, and I can like speculate on such issues. So I won't really comment on any final judgments or anything, but the allegations seem a little harsh in my opinion, especially since there are like multiple allegations from multiple people against him. I just believe that playing him would be politically incorrect. It would be like a very, very, very naughty decision at the end of the day that has to be criticized. And Eric Ten Hag is no good, right? We'll criticize him when he does something wrong. And if he does play Anthony, I think I'd consider that wrong. I will not celebrate a goal if it's like scored or assisted by Anthony if he plays against Brighton. I promise you that. Um, Moving on. So, who is this guy? Asks Ankush Bhai. Ankush Bhai, welcome. legend of the channel. If you have missed out the initial like 25 minutes of the stream, so this has been a like um, very calm stream, especially considering the last stream was a bit spicy. This is like a mellow one, just to discuss some positives that we can extract from this like entire negative scenario at Man United right now, right? We as fans have to like focus on the positivities at the end of the day, right? Just to like keep our heads up high with the 29 champions of England, uh, we cannot like lose our heads over such issues, right? So with Unikas, we should bench him for his good. We can say that the club has decided to give Anthony time to work on his case and give him a periodic leave while Ajogar. But like that would like put it on stone, right? The fact that Anthony, mm, we don't really consider Anthony as not guilty, right? Because you look at the entire Anthony saga, and Manchester United have also been blamed that they have covered up some sort of crime. The doctors have covered up like his domestic abuse, and that's like preposterous. If it has happened, it'll like burn the club down. This could be like our biggest scandal yet, and we have to be thick-skinned and like anticipate such things. But till now, it hasn't been proven. But there has to be like some sort of sensitivity by Manchester United shown, especially since the fan base is so anti Qatar and everything because of the human rights abuses and all. The fans in England really don't want Qatar, to be very honest. But if we can do that, then we have to be consistent with our opinions around the club, right? Ankush Bhai says, calm, hell nah, we don't do that here. Hello, Lucky. Uh, I actually wanted to tell you something, Lucky, if you're there. You know the fact that I've done my engineering from Odisha, right? I mean, I know a little bit of Odia. Kauchu, Jauchu, uh, uh, Gotes. I think Gote is one or two, right? Gote is one, Duita, Tinta, right? So there, I know a little bit of Odia. So do converse in Odia with me sometimes. Uh, Renesu says, I want a timeout, Vankush Bhai. Unfortunately, both of you are managing mods. So, yeah, Gote is one, actually. Renesu and Odia. Uh, so, Renesu, who are you? Uh, 2 minute Discord. So, yeah, मेरे को भूल गए. So, these people are talking. Is that true? I'll give the new codes to Saf. I think you're talking about the entire like cover up story. uh, they're still talking in the chat. I'll get to that later. But yeah, I think there have been allegations by one of the victims that there has been a cover up job uh, done by the United doctors, and United have stated the fact that a lot of players, misses and girlfriends get a lot of treatment from the doctors. भाई मतलब मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस तो इंडिया में भी भाई स्पाउस और चिल्ड्रन का सेम ही होता है. So I don't see how that's very मतलब different in a Western society. But I think मतलब I think they're going to like investigate it. Manchester United have denied the claims, but yeah, let's see. Uh, Lucky says, आप कौन से कॉलेज में पढ़ रहे थे उड़ीसा में? If you know, there's a college called KIIT University in Bhubaneswar. So I did my engineering from there. Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. A lot of people from Calcutta. It's basically the Manipal University of East India, in my opinion. जो दिल्ली के बच्चे और बॉम्बे के बच्चे मणिपाल में जाते हैं, कोलकाता के बच्चे KIIT यूनिवर्सिटी में जाते हैं. So I went to KIIT University from between 2018 and 2022 to do my mechanical engineering degree. Uh, Renesu says, सिर्फ यूनाइटेड की बातें हो सकती है क्या इधर? No, bro. If you have any questions that you'd want to ask me, especially since there are so few people, you can ask me almost anything within legal bounds, right? I can try to answer uh, uh, everything. Okay, बकचोदी करो, पेंचो Friday है. But you guys can ask me anything, all the Bakchudi questions. That's fine. I'll try to answer them completely honestly, but I'll like come back to United like 5 or 6 times, especially like hold justice to the title of the video that I've created right now. Uh, Lucky Dad says we only talk about big clubs here. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world. NSU और मैं तुम्हारे future की अच्छा I don't know. Lucky says yes I know kit. वहाँ के ग्राउंड में फुटबॉल खेलता हूँ मैं. Bro, the football ground was very near my hostel, by the way. Also, like, interesting fact about my college, we hosted the Hockey World Cup. It was in the Kalinga Stadium. So, मैं जब gym जाता था college में, the Dutch hockey team used to like do gymming next to me. Also, like, there's a scar on my forehead if you can see. वेरी फनी स्टोरी. मैं ऐसे धूप में वॉक करते करते जा रहा हूँ फ्रॉम लाइक मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग बिल्डिंग टू माय हॉस्टल एंड द वर्ल्ड कप वाज केप्ट इन डिस्प्ले बिटवीन टू लाइक एल्यूमिनियम रॉड्स. ओके, द हॉकी वर्ल्ड कप. और मैं ऐसे 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 ढकते ढकते जा रहा हूँ एंड आई स्ट्रक माय फोरहेड विद दैट एल्यूमिनियम बार एंड like scuffed up my spectacles ऐसे गिरा के. So I actually like I actually like cracked my skull from the Hockey World Cup. If you look, so hello Mazen bhai, if you're there. I did not see your chat. कैसे हो? Hello Mazen bhai, how you doing? Mazen bhai, you just asked him that on Discord. Acha, okay. They're talking about ha ha ha. Hold, yeah, it's a very funny story actually. 2018 Hockey World Cup. Yes, it was my first year in college. Yes, 2018. I've logged out of Discord, unfortunately, right now. Acha, acha. Everything aside, let's now move on to the topic that we were discussing, right? So one interesting thing that has come out that a lot of fans are treating negatively is that United have, sorry, extremely sorry. United have lost like 500 million pounds from their from their like worth, and that has like put our like valuation from about 3.7 billion dollar to about 3.1 billion dollar. That is a preposterous. That's almost like a 17%, 17% like distinguishing of valuation. And bhai, that means only one thing, right? Matlab, the moment the Glazers release one story कि हम लोग अभी शेख जसीम को बेच रहे हैं, it would be considered as stock market manipulation by the NYSE, right? So they can't really post any more positive stories, especially since matlab, this borderline stock market manipulation. If you look at what the Glazers have done, one story raises the price, one story reduces the price. The entire Reuters report like brought our shares up to till about almost $27 a share from like 19, which was like the initial stable amount, right? एंड अभी इट्स बैक टू लाइक 19. अभी उन लोग फिर से कुछ जाली स्टोरी निकाले दें तो हो जाएगा, मतलब सीन. एनवाईएससी तो अलाउ नहीं करेगा ये सब. So yeah, I mean, it has to be an ultimatum. There has to be an ultimatum now, and I can smell it in the air almost. कि either Glazers रहेंगे या बेचेंगे. And I think मतलब they cannot afford to stay any longer. भाई उन लोग 900 million का interest payments, they have paid themselves dividends, and last year there was like certain news that they matlab, last year was probably the first financial year where they did not pay themselves. That's a huge thing, right? They cannot afford to pay themselves. We're saving £5 million on Sofian Amrabat in like 20 days. We have given Johnny Evans a new contract. There is like no way a club that like earns 500 million pounds is fitting their entire transfer budget plus paying dividends plus their entire matlab, their entire lavish spending sprees, the 7 or 6 like sons of bitches that Malcolm Glazer like gave birth to, plus their like क्या बोलते हैं, interest payments and everything, right? मतलब ओल्ड ट्रैफर्ड इज लाइक लीकिंग, हम लोग का सुसु आउट मतलब ओवरफ्लो कर रहा है, क्या करें? मतलब दे हैव टू सेल एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, इट्स द लॉजिकल थिंग. एंड मतलब इतने प्रोटेस्ट भी हो रहे हैं. 1958 इज गोइंग ऑन प्रोटेस्ट every almost on every match day. So the entire thing is a mess and it'll be good for the Glazers. अभी जाओ यार, 250 million pound. they invested of their own money for a 750 million pound asset, लेवरेज बाय आउट करके लिया. लेवरेज बाय आउट अभी प्रीमियर लीग में अलाउड भी नहीं है, बाय द वे. They are still at the club. They are not accepting a 5 billion pound offer. You buy a flat for like 50 lakh rupees, you keep it for 10 years, you'll max to max be able to sell it for 85 to 90 lakh rupees in India. It's just a joke. It took 250 million देके 13 साल बाद they are getting 5 billion. खुद का पैसा एक खर्च नहीं किया है ट्रांसफर्स में. They have not spent anything on the club. The only way, we could like dodge FFP this year was via external owner investment. There's this entire thing, right? We could have played the Todd Bowley route, given them like 9-year contracts. Because at the end of the day, players ko paisa mangta hai at the end of the day. But we did not do that also. We did not go the owner cash route, right? अभी क्या ही कर सकते हैं हम. मतलब ये सिचुएशन अगर इंडिकेशन नहीं हुआ that the Glazers are broke, they are losing their मतलब they are losing the, क्या बोलते हैं, the trust in the shareholders in the stock market at Wall Street, then मतलब अभी नहीं गए तो कब जाएंगे भाई. It's just a joke. I mean, if the shares fall further, I mean, they might never get 5 billion pounds again. This is like a mauke pe chauka scenario also for them, right? They have to sell, in my opinion. Renesu says buy United stock right now, guys. Future profit. So if Sheikh Jassim comes, I think he does. He will. He has stated the fact that he'll put Manchester United out of the stock market. So at the end of the day, his entourage will essentially buy our stocks. They're not the best financial decision, in my opinion. Invest in index funds. Invest little in index funds and keep them for a long time. You'll make way more money. Renesu. Lucky Red says Susu overflow. हाँ भाई, there have been videos. Susu overflow हो रहा है. Women का training ground का भी Susu overflow हो रहा है apparently. So क्या करें अब? Scam 2020 2005. पृथ्वीराज says हाँ भाई क्या करें अब? Scam तो हो गया है. Okay. So that those are the like one or two positives that I have discussed. If you guys have any questions, keep them rolling up. Look, stop kyun ho gaya? I can see 6 people watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're a new watcher. I doubt that you are, but still like and subscribe. Also, like keep the questions rolling. Before I like move on to the next topic of discussion, I have a question. Yes, please. Question ही बोल देता है इतना देर में. Uh, Is Bruno a possession player? No. I'll give you a reason why. A lot of the people have like brought up this entire like conversation around Ten Hag ball being like imperative to United successing, and matlab United lacking a lot of identity, especially matlab, and that is the reason why we are feeling. But भाई यूनाइटेड का आइडेंटिटी है क्या? इज माय क्वेश्चन राइवल फैंस. यही है हमारा राइवल आइडेंटिटी. सिटिंग बैक एंड अटैकिंग, counter attacking. This has been our identity. Yes, we have like counter attack better and we have kept possession better also sometimes, but you have to realize that the manager is in his second year of his tenure. He's been here for like 14 or 15 months, so you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that way, right? Give him time and we will play like Man United. By there is like no identity. Coming to your question, is Bruno a possession player? No, I don't think Bruno is a possession player, especially since um, Bruno is a very efficient ball winner in my opinion. और वो ball win करके ना, he looks up, he goes for the pass, he goes for the players like that are running. If Bruno were a possessional player, he would give in these short passes and we would have like these slow build-ups, which we essentially don't, because the kingpin at our middle is looking for these like long throughs at the end of the day, and that is why I think Bruno is not really a possession player. He will sometimes occupy goal scoring positions himself, right? And that, like, in my opinion, proves that he is um, otherwise. So Karthik bhai, Ayan check Discord Wonder Kids. Talking about Touch Bhai's channel especially. Uh, So Bruno is not a possession player. I think Mount fits that role better. I think Mount is great in like pass and play. I think Bruno is really not that efficient when it comes to like short passes or him really being patient or anything. I think Bruno is a little immature also sometimes the way he behaves on the pitch. I think Mount is a like cooler head. But then again, so but then again, like he has uh, a higher like skill set, Bruno, at the end of the day from Mount. Excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. No, I won't. I just gulped it. So yeah. Okay, so hear me out. Do we need a new 10? Uh, Bruno is almost 30, by the way. I think he just turned 29 or 30. I think we do need a new 10. And I think Bruno is not that inherent Ten Hag player that he would look for. And I think that's why he signed Mount, especially since he has a lot of years in his tank. And especially since if we get like 150 million offer from, like, for example, um, Saudi, I say why not? Why not? Bruno, if the Glazers are not here. I mean, if we get like 150 million pounds and Glazers are not, and the Glazers are still there, I would say no. But if we get like 150 million pounds from Saudi, and if the Glazers are not there, I think uh, Bruno leaves. Why not, bro? 150 million pounds, 130 games, 68 goals. He's class. Ever since he joined, he had the most goals and assists in the Premier League, right? So, I mean, goals and assists combined, uh, not Haaland. So, yeah, right. So, Renesu says, take Odegaard from us. I think Odegaard is a brilliant player who will like fit in our system brilliantly. You can do the Ericsson role, I think, better than Mount, and I would love to have Odegaard in our team. Sell him to us. Renesu, transfer karwa de bhai. 150 million pound for Bruno. I think I answered my question. Hello, Rishi. Just a thing. Bruno isn't a ball progressor. The vision he has is really good and is skilled enough to find those. But Puneet was really talking about like building up these attacks and everything. I think he was talking about if Bruno is a possession player or not. And in my opinion, he isn't. I think Mount is a better possession player than Bruno Fernandes. Mm. So will Saudi buy from us if Qatar wins? Is the question. Um, Saudi Arabian players like, I mean, they bought from PSG though. They bought Neymar from PSG. Qatar owned. I don't see that like money is money. Our diplomacy nahi हो पाएगा. You can't like equate diplomacy with football. By a lot of players were like asking for Taremi at Manchester United, and I think matlab, that could be not possible down to diplomatic reasons. But at the end of the day, if they pay Porto enough money, I think they can have him or whatever. Matlab, if the Glazers find enough value in him, they can have him, right? Um, Renesu says 200 million plus 60 million for Odegaard. Yes, then Marcus Rashford is worth 800 million pounds if that's the case. No, bro, you won't get you'll get a maximum of 70 to 80 million for Bruno Fernandes from a European club, and you can expect like a similar amount of money from a Arabian, like a Saudi Arabian club. Yeah, 70 million is fair for Odegaard. The only like 100 million plus like midfielder that I can see any team buying is Frankie De Jong, to be very honest, after Bellingham. Bellingham went for 100, right? Or was it like 110 or 115? Um, if he's worth 100, then I think Frankie's worth 100 as well. So let's see. Let's see. Let's hope Qatar comes and let's hope like we can pay Frankie that 100 million pound for him to come, right? By Rice. Rice for 115 million was really a joke in my opinion. बहुत ज्यादा पैसा. हम लोग भी कुछ तरह से spend किए हैं. Anthony, Sancho, brilliant examples in front of your eyes, but Rice for 100, no भाई, नहीं. 115 million was too much for Rice. I think Odegaard is more expensive in the current market than Rice, to be very honest. Odegaard, in my opinion, is your best player. So let's see. Uh, 50 for Ode is best. Hmm. अबे लिवरपूल तो वैसे भी कम पैसा देती है, so then I don't know why. But you guys don't have that Edwards fellow. So you have also fucked up your recent transfers. मतलब वो smart key and all. By Bayern bought him for 14 million, 15 million. This Gravenberg fellow खिलाया ही नहीं. 2 साल he sat on the bench. एक मैच भी ढंग का नहीं खेला वो अच्छा मतलब ओकेशन में. And Liverpool buy him for 40 million. I mean, भाई नहीं. Bodied Liverpool, obviously. Since 1992. But we already have offers of 220 million. किसके लिए? सलाह के लिए. सलाह को तो 200 मिलियन में बेच देना चाहिए भाई. You guys are making a big mistake of keeping a player that is going to leave, and maybe like you won't get 200 million pounds for him. मतलब there's like very little sentiment in football at the end of the day, bhai. You have to act a little ruthlessly. Uh, if you're getting 200 million pounds for a like 30 plus player, no matter how great he is, you can get Kavicha Kvaratskhelia matlab for 100 million, keep 100 million for other like positions. Uh, 200 million for Salah seems fair in my opinion, more than fair. Ayan asks thoughts on Chelsea. Very good. Interesting question. Ayan, I'll take a few moments to answer this question actually. So, I think Chelsea are in this rut and they'll be in this rut like for about 2 to 3 years, at least, in my opinion. Especially down to the fact that there is no symbiosis in the squad, right? 23 players coming and going in 1 week is just a shambles, in my opinion. And the manager not knowing his players in the press conference is an even bigger disgrace. On top of that, they have hired a sweetheart to like manage these players. At the end of the day, I feel like, bhai, nay, it's not gonna happen, right? मतलब you look at, मैं कैसे समझाऊं भाई, चेल्सी में the players have come in and then मतलब their harmony होते ना होते 5 player injured हो जा रहे हैं, new 5 players are coming in and their entire academy is also sitting on the bench. So they have injuries, they have a lack of synergy in their squad. Pochettino just seems a little clueless at the moment, to be very honest. But he doesn't really have a grip on the system. The entire like ownership situation, whether these are Pochettino's, sorry, whether these are Pochettino signings or whether these are Todd Bowley signings, it's just a joke. I mean, American owners को हम लोग क्यों trust करते हैं? The point. I mean, Chelsea were really bought under a sanctionless environment, and I think matlab, they really did not have a choice to like select the owners. But I heard that Jim Ratcliffe also wanted to buy Chelsea. अगर Jim Ratcliffe को choose करते ना इतना मतलब नहीं होता, to be honest. I think मतलब Todd Bowley is possibly the worst owner after FSG and Glazers. It's just that he has his heart on the right place. Maybe he doesn't. He lacks the footballing knowledge, but he at least pens, right? वो है उसमें. He has his heart in the right place. Did you really fell for control plus? भाई क्या करे भाई, मेरे को एक तो नहीं समझ में आता. मैं मैक में हूँ, उसमें सब कमांड कमांड होता है. तो कंट्रोल प्लस डब्ल्यू दबाने से क्या होता है? आई थॉट मतलब दैट्स अ वैलिड मैक शॉर्टकट. सो क्या बोलते हैं? I fell for that. Villa will be better than Newcastle this window, in my opinion. Thoughts? Window तो खत्म हो गई है भाई, but I see Villa finishing above Newcastle. I see West Ham finishing above Chelsea this season. Both teams have been very impressive in my opinion in the starting. Villa got thrashed by Newcastle and Liverpool, I think, but what they are doing is class. भाई उन लोग का टीम बहुत अच्छा है. They do well. For fuck's sake. Uh, Unique has an interesting comment. The rat is a Chelsea season ticket holder. Fuck him. But it's because of his like family members and all like support Chelsea. Matlab his children and all support Chelsea. He's a boyhood like Man United fan, and that has been like proved. He was in 1999 Barcelona. I think matlab Jim Ratcliffe is a Man United fan. मतलब जैसे अपने बच्चों को लेके मैच देखने जाते हैं जाने दो ना भाई सीजन टिकट लेके. If my girlfriend ever supports Arsenal Football Club, even I'll be a Arsenal season ticket holder. Doesn't mean that I support Arsenal. I just support my loved ones, right? Mm. And so it's okay. I understand. Okay. So since there are no comments, like the next like positive that I would like draw from this scenario is the fact that all of our injuries at the end of the day are very minor injuries. Like there is no like major injury minus Varane. So especially considering our injured players, Menu is coming back, Mount is coming back, Hoyland might start playing regularly. Um, then your Varane छोड़ के लीचा is okay borderline. Shaw or Varane छोड़ के actually all of them are from what I have researched, all of them are coming back in the next like 2 to 3 weeks. Um, which is like positive news. Like I said, like Manchester United ka best starting 11 is Onana in goal, Luke Shaw left back, Varane, Licha right back, centre backs right back, Wan Bissaka, Casemiro, Amrabat or Casemiro Mount with Bruno. राइट विंग में आपका क्या बोलते हैं एंटनी हॉयलुंड एंड लेफ्ट विंग में रैशफोर्ड and the least number of iterations we have in this entire like starting 11 um will do well मतलब we have solid depth in midfield as well right now अगर हम लोग for example Brighton के against 1-0 or even 2-1 जीत रहे हैं we can just put in a Scott McTominay take out Hoyland and like ask him to guard the box right he did that against Nottingham Forest and yeah I mean वो तो है भाई Mount over Ericsson, Ayan is asking. I think right now, yes, Mount over Ericsson. If Mount is fit, Mount starts. By Ericsson is just too lethargic. He really doesn't go into tackles, and maybe like the synchronization between Mount and Bruno was not there. Okay, one more positive. Now everybody knows about my affection towards Mount, and the Mount start has not been very bad. Has not been very good, but it hasn't been bad either, right? Mount will only get better from this point on, and from what we saw is his performances were definitely comparable to Ericsson. If Ericsson's performances were 8s or 9s or 10, it's because he knows the synergy around playing with Casemiro and Bruno. Whereas Mount doesn't really know this synergy, but still against Spurs, if you see the first half, he was very decent. He put in a 7 out of 10 performance. Against Wolves, he was 6 or 5 on 10. But Mount is at least on the rise, in my opinion, and he will only get better, and he will get better faster than Ericsson establishing himself in the squad, which essentially would mean that Mount would definitely start in front of Ericsson in a while. And I think that really puts that will like really put a good light on Eric Ten Hag as well, since this would be another successful signing in my opinion. Now the entire talent ID debate, you guys can have it all the time. I mean, we as Man United fans really don't care about it. Our transfers have been brilliant. Um, every player that is underperforming right now, Ten Hag has inherited them essentially, right? Um, Thoughts on Havertz's performance against United? I think Havertz is finding it very difficult to integrate in that entire Arsenal setup at the end of the day. I think it'll be very difficult for him to play in that Xhaka role, especially since Xhaka was amazing for Arsenal a season back, right? Uh, yeah. So Ankush bhai, exactly my point. Mount needs to be patient and it'll come with time. I'm not worried about him. Exactly. We should not be worried about Mount. You look at Rio Ferdinand and all these players, Evra as well. Evra got battered. on debut, by the way, if you remember. And if you look at Angel Di Maria, just compare his start with Evra's start and look at their trajectories. I mean, it's a joke, man. He's been in the club for like 2 games. Give him time to progress as a player. I just checked a couple of messages. No, give me like a second. Mm, good night messages. Cool. So, uh, yeah, just be patient and Mount will definitely start. Right. So that's gonna happen. Yeah. So Mount returning, in my opinion, is a genuine positive. Mount, just imagine Ankush bhai one thing. Uh, we play against Brighton, and if everybody is fit, for example, Casemiro, Mount, and Ericsson play. Um, no, actually, Brighton is a bad example. We play Luton, okay, and against Luton we play Casemiro, Mount, and Ericsson. Okay, we have a game against Real Madrid next in the Champions League round of 16. We can easily rotate our team so efficiently now that we have like some strength and depth in the middle of the park, right? And that is like really interesting in my opinion, something that none of our managers have really worked with, because um ever since Fergie left, and even during his latter ages, we saw like players like Tom Cleverly being used heavily by Fergie, right? Tom Cleverly, Butner, if you remember. Then Moyes came with Adnan Januzaj and all these players. So an entire like using players perpetually is like using like mediocre players perpetually has been ingrained in our DNA. But from what we are seeing right now is the fact that times are changing. We have a certain amount of strength and depth, like I said. Ankush Bhai says, yeah, I like we have so many options in midfield and I can try out so many combos, pretty exciting. And that would like inherently force us to install a certain amount of patience as well, because since Tenag will try out all these iterations of players, they might not work in the first attempt, and maybe we concede 2 goals against Brighton in the first 15 minutes, and then we play a good game and score like one back in the next 70 minutes. We shoot like 20 times and the ball misses the goal about 15 times, or like gets saved by the goalkeeper about 17 times, but we still like show a bit of fight. I think those kind of things will be more important, because United are realistically not really fighting for the Premier League right now as we speak. Things might change now. Coming, this will be actually a very good segue to my next positive, but before that I'll like go through Prithviraj's comment first. Menu, Hannibal, and Mount is more acceptable for Carabao games. Yeah, sure. I mean, we can do that kind of rotation as well now that we have a lot of strength in depth, right? So let me just open up our next fixtures. um hmm, Getting a lot of office mates by the looks of it, but that's fine. Okay, guess it. Yes. Present screen. Share screen. Yeah. I think this is a big positive right now. Okay. Um, we've played like 2 away games, 2 difficult games, North London clubs. But you look at the next games, United face a Brighton team that is beatable in my opinion. Yes, Brighton are brilliant, but we can beat them. Bayern versus United, I really don't care about this game, to be honest, even if we are defeated. I think there is a long way to the round of 16. We have 5 winnable games, home and away against Copenhagen and Galatasaray, and also like home at against Bayern Munich. If we can beat Barcelona at home, I think we can beat Bayern at home in their current state as well. Mm. Coming to Burnley, I think beatable game again. EFL Cup third round, Crystal Palace. Next Premier League game, Crystal Palace, Galatasaray, Brentford, Sheffield, Copenhagen. So up till like 29th October, We have a clear run of games, and then we have Man City. I think Man City, if you look at like Man City, its next few games, I think, yeah, they have actually Arsenal on the 8th of October, and then they have Brighton 21st of October. They don't really have a lot of like areas where they can drop points. I think West Ham versus Man City is a game to look out for as well. I think if Man City drop enough points in the next few games and we gain a few points because of like a lenient fixture list, I think we can do uh, well this season. You look at um, if you watched the Stretford Paddock episode today, they were talking about the table last year on the 7th of September, and Spurs were placed third, by the way, after 6 games. They won four and drew two. And there was a similar hype around like Spurs is brilliant, like transfer window and Conte is cooking and everything. So really, don't believe this like silver starts that most top Premier League clubs have showcased so far, and don't count out Chelsea yet. I'd say, even though their traits, like I mentioned, have been pretty poor at the end of the day. Okay, so yeah, I like we did this comment. We did this too. Sorry guys. CVs पर भी काश होते ऐसे options. So अंकुश भाई, at the end of the day हम क्या करें? We have Licha Varan. We have Shaw who can play centre back. Uh, he's a decent centre back in my opinion. Maguire, Lindelof, and Evans. Those are six centre backs. ठीक है. अभी unfortunately we are in this position कि we can play the two worst centre backs, but चार injuries in those in that same position. हम लोग क्या करें? मतलब you can't expect us to have like 9 or 10 centre backs, right, at the club. um, it'll get better, trust me. um Unique says, is KDB out of the season? I really don't follow Man City news that much, to be fair. Unique, मतलब मैंने उतना रिसर्च नहीं किया around this. I think मतलब KDB might be injured for a very long time, but I certainly don't know that KDB is injured or not. Ayan says the fact that Lisandro isn't injured though, but he has faced a little bit of soreness in his like ankles and everything. That's why he was pulled out of the game, and that's why Argentina also like gave him some rest, I believe, right? Um, ऋषि भाई, पोर्टुगल से उम्मीद है. I think this is a question. If this is a statement, kudos to you, bro. If you support Portugal, but if this is a question, um, यूरोस के बारे में नहीं, पोर्टुगल से तो उम्मीद नहीं है of them winning anything in the near future, but we'll see, right? Portugal have been favorites underdog, मतलब favorites when they are like classified underdogs. 2016 Euros comes to mind, right? We read this. Okay, you can't really rely on Maguire and Evans as a backup as well. I think we can rely on Maguire very well. Maguire was very decent in my opinion against Arsenal. Um, what do you call a backup, Umesh, if I may? Matlab, if Maguire leaves United and goes to West Ham, he's a starter, but he's not a backup at United. I think that's a preposterous claim at the end of the day. Gareth Southgate, there's a reason why, uh, despite everything, he starts for England day in, day out, right? I think Maguire is a very good defender. I think he doesn't fit our system very well at the end of the day, and he's a very, very capable and good backup option. I think we cannot sell him for a decent amount of money, and if he backup should be Lindelof, of course he's a backup. I'm talking about choice four, by the way. So you have two defenders and there are two backups, right? The first choice is obviously Manchester United's best defender, in my opinion. Definitely Rafa Varane, followed by Lisandro Martinez, second best. Third best is definitely Lindelof. I'm talking about the fourth best centre back, who is definitely Maguire. Some people might say Shaw, but I'd put them on a similar level. And then there's Evans, who is the big drop off in my opinion. But even Evans को क्या मतलब, he was getting squabbled behind by that Arsenal player. तो वो क्या करेगा मतलब? It's not really Evans' fault, right? uh, देखते हैं क्या होता है. uh, my goal is to defend my players at the end of the day, no matter how bad uh, their traits have been. But this, all I'll say is this is like very early. uh, the season has not really kicked into action yet. It's still running in its first or second year. Let the fixtures come. Let you guys, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, face a little difficult opponents, a traditional top six, as we call it, and then we'll see where everybody is. Right? United have had a traditionally difficult first few fixtures. Our fifth game of the season is also a difficult one, in my opinion. But let's see. Mm. So I'll just wrap the stream up if but you can keep the questions going if you want me to answer the questions. If not, I'll wrap the stream up in another like 5 to 10 minutes. Ayan says it's early, but what are your realistic expectations versus Bayern? That's a very good question. Ayan is on a roll today. um Realistic expectations against Bayern at home, at their home at the Allianz Arena. I think we'll lose. We lose 2-1 or 2-0, in my opinion. Uh, but you know what? We won against PSG at their home as well, right? We beat Juventus also. Jose's, I think, final victory with Man United, if I'm not wrong, was against Juventus where he did the thing. So we have been decent in Europe, especially in the group stages. Yes, the time we beat PSG, we went out, but you have to realize we had Leipzig and PSG in the same group as well, and we lost a game against um, Istanbul Başakşehir. But I think we can draw against them, or maybe like win against them at home rather than away, at our home Old Trafford rather than the Allianz Arena. But let's see, right? The hope is to win, but not with the current squad that we have. If more players come in, if Amrabat is fit, we'll see. Uh, PSG team थोड़ी है. I think they're a team, right? But the champions of France for God knows how many years continuously. In between, lost Lille 1-1, I think. और बीच में तो कोई नहीं जीता. They are good domestically, bro. They played the Champions League final also a couple of years ago. It's not like they don't exist. It's just that we don't like their ways. So, no more comments. I'll just quickly wrap the video up with a message to like all Man United fans. Keep your chin up, guys. I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? All the negativity will fade at the end of the day. You go back to the early 80s, we got relegated one season, right? And a lot of people made a lot of fun about us. But those post George Best days also gave us that brilliant like FA Cup victory, followed by Sir Alex Ferguson coming into the club, followed by his 2 or 3 years of misery, and then we beat Crystal Palace uh, um, at the FA Cup. And I think those kind of glorious stories can be replicated with Eric Ten Hag. Despite the on-field and off-field antics of our players, I think Eric Ten Hag has to be trusted. I think we have a very, very deep squad for the first time in a very long time, and I think we can do well against a lot of our traditional opponents as well. एक second, guys. Right. Uh, So yeah, I mean that's all. Acha, what's your thoughts on Maguire sell nahi hua? I think it's a disappointment, but we could not sell him for like 20 million plus us paying 20 million to get him offloaded, right? वो कुछ भी चाहेगा तो थोड़ी उसको देंगे, right? There has to be a certain amount of um there has to be a certain amount of integrity shown on his behalf as well. But he's been decent against Arsenal. I hope he can do well for us from the bench. I think if Varane's legs go, I think we have to depend on him a lot this season. And I think he does well for us, especially with Onana right behind him, bhokne ke liye, if he makes a mistake. So Prithviraj says, as low as we are, right, our peak is gonna be superb. I think so too, right? As low as we are right now, I think at the end of the day we will rise again. We are Man United. We have gone through a lot. Historically, we have lost our golden generation from a plane crash. We've been relegated. We've been taunted at. We've been called alcoholics throughout the 1970s and 80s. We've really not performed well. Um, we went on a 20-year drought before Sir Alex won our first Premier League trophy. So anything can happen, bros. I mean, football runs in cycles, right? Look at Liverpool under Dalglish and Rafa Benitez. They would finish second or third, then fifth, then second, third, fifth, second, third. Look at Arsenal in their initial years. Their team were their entire team was in tatters, right? And look at them right now. Look at City throughout our childhood. They were absolutely garbage. And now they're the kings of Europe and England, right? But football runs in cycles. And we've been awfully, awfully low for a very long period of time. And finally, we have a sense of positivity and entitlement via our manager Eric Ten Hag. And we have to make advantage of that, right? We have to um, start using that to our advantage. And yeah, that's all that I would want to talk about today. So thank you for to the yeah, in real life Game of Thrones क्या बोलते हैं देखते हैं. Thank you to everybody who was a part of this stream. Really appreciate you spending your 12 p.m. with me on a Friday. Bless you guys. Bye bye. Glory, glory, Man United.